part of that reputation involves Chase Young. I thought it was interesting that Rivera talked about how he had talked to Chase and that he would be at the OT, or that he would be at the offseason work. What did you make of all that?
I mean, I thought that was really interesting. And, Ron won't go too far publicly because they're voluntary and you can't make players go to these things, but he's made it pretty clear, right? He's made it very clear that he wants guys there because it's not just about, showing up and lifting weights with your, and just being there. Like, Chase and Montez Sweat, they were getting training. It wasn't like they're just skipping out. That's not how it works. It's more of being a leader, being around your teammates, building that chemistry early, so you can really get to work, when camp opens on the football X's and O's part. And that's what he's been stressing to Chase. So it's very clear. It's important in Ron's mind for everybody to be there. So, from what he said, it sounds like Chase is planning to be there. Now, in what capacity he's actually able to participate in these things, that's a different story. He's coming off the ACL injury. He's been spending a lot of time recovering in Colorado. And we'll see where he's at in his rehab, where he's at health-wise, but he's expecting him to be there and be around his teammates.
He also called we're talking about defense and quarterbacks. Your dogs get excited, defense and quarterbacks. But with Chase, because Ron did call it an awakening. 2021 was an awakening for him. And that's where I'll be curious to see how he responds to that, because the talent is still immense. I mean, it was more maybe the approach from a pass rusher standpoint, or and I think it seems like what they also want from him is, one, to be around the guys, but also when you're installing defense, and then what are you working on? Because there were some things that Chase worked on as far as pass rush moves that I'm pretty sure they would prefer he had taken a different approach or tactic with it. Right. So I wonder if that's not part of it too. But I think it's a good sign that those two seem to have a pretty good dialogue going with each other. It seems, do you think, or no?
I mean, it seems like it at this point. We haven't heard a ton from Chase. I think we've talked to him once, maybe since his injury
before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So it seems like it. You hope so. Martin Mayhew said he's been in contact too with Chase, and
Chase is sending Ron Rivera videos of his workouts.
Yeah. And I think that's paramount. I think the relationship between Ron and Chase is so important to the growth of this team, because Ron is the primary leader and Chase is the number 2 leader, when you look at it on paper. So you need them to be in sync. And whenever you feel like they're not in sync, that's when I felt like this could be a problem, when there was any perceived discord over the off-season workouts. You're like, this may not go well, because those are your 2 leaders of the team.
Right. And it also matters, Nicki, too, as if a guy produces during the season, it's like, well, we like him here, but dude had 16 sacks. I mean, you know what I mean? But when you only get the 1.5, now the injury certainly disrupted that. And he only played half the year because of the injury. But in that half year, he was not as productive as he was in the second half of his rookie year. I mean, he was fantastic at that stretch. So I think that's where it's like, it's always, if you didn't produce the way people had hoped, was this part of it? Well, maybe, we'll find out. But I think the thing for them that they like is the way they feel Chase has responded to it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, I think it's something that a lot of top players have gone through, and some of them need to go through. Like I go back to Von Miller mainly because I was around him a lot. But he's an exceptional pass rusher, obviously. Came in, immediately had an impact, put up monster numbers his rookie season, but had to go through some stuff off the field to really kind of change who he was as a person over the years. Was suspended for trying to get out of a drug test, and dealt with a season-ending injury too. And, by 4 years later, he's a captain and, is reinstated out of the drug program, and really does what he needs to do to get that side of things in order to really become the face of the franchise. And, Chase hasn't gotten into trouble or anything, but I think sometimes you just need to be humbled a little bit and realize, for some, I don't know if this is the case for Chase, know what you don't know and what you need to work on, because it's not the same as college. Everybody, they say this and it's cliche, but it's true. It's like, the greatest player in college is pretty much everybody in the NFL, so it's going to be challenging. There's going to be hard parts, but you got to learn to overcome that. So I think having this early in his career, you hope will kind of set him up just for continued growth.
And I never mind if a guy struggles early on, and just, you don't take it, because for me, it's always, how do you respond to situation X? If you have success, how do you respond? Do you build on that? Do you coast? How do you respond? You get a big contract. How do you respond? You have a bad year. How do you respond? You have it, it's on down the line. So this game is all about how do you respond to whatever situation you encounter, because if you don't respond in a certain way, it's going to knock you back again. And so knowing enough about Chase, I think that he seems like a guy who definitely cares about having success. And it's not everybody does. I mean, not to a certain level. And so that's why I think we'll see. Hey everybody, it's John Keim. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, and I'll continue to bring you guests who provide excellent insight into the Washington Commanders. And while you're here, check out the other terrific content on the Ampire Media Network, including Inside the Cap with Joel Corey and All's Caps with Steve Wino and former Washington Capital Carl Alsner. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Thank you.